Hi crafters, Karen here from Karen's Crafting Company. And in today's video, it's all about sharing with you a card that I will create using the color cubes from Sarah Renae Clark. There are 2 volumes and both volumes equal a total set of 500 cards. So 250 in each cube. And if you follow Call Me Crafty Al's YouTube channel, you know that she uses these color cubes a lot. And I was actually inspired by her in using these. And these are a great resource to have if you have challenges with combining colors to match. And that I definitely have that challenge. So outside of matching a rainbow, I definitely struggle. So here I have the card number 216, and I always have my Google Assistant pick a number from 1 to 500. That way I am forced to pick that number card and use that to create my project. So here I have the color palette, and it does look similar to the card that I made last week. And if you missed that video, that will be linked in the description box below. I will be using all 5 colors that you see on this palette, and I will be using, I brought the 4 inks out that I'll be using, but I wanted to show you how I went about picking my colors using my swatch chart from Lou Collins. And her information will be in the description box below, so you can check her out too and check out her color swatch that you can get for free. So for the amber color, I went ahead and went with the fossilized amber. And now, as you can see, the colors are not exact, and that is okay. As long as they come close, it'll work just fine. And then for my flame color, I went with the crackling campfire, and then for the auburn, I went with the fired brick. And then for that charcoal, I went with the black soot, and the black soot definitely does look a lot like the charcoal color. It is not a hardy black ink that you might think it is. And then for the stamp set that I will use today, it is the You Are Just the Best stamp set from Woodware. And I will be using the large floral stamp along with the sentiment that you see there. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to use these 4 colors to ink blend my my card front here. Now I did say that I was using 5 colors, so you do see the white at the very top on the color cube card. I will be using white, but I'm going to be using the white embossing powder from Wow. And I'll be using that later on in the video. So I started with the fossilized amber, and now I'm moving into the crackling campfire. And what I'm doing is I'm just layering it onto the cardstock. I am not quite blending the 2 colors in just yet. Here I'm just trying to get the crackling campfire onto the cardstock. And now that I've done that, I'm going to create very small circles with my brush to get that blending of the 2 colors in. And you can see how those 2 colors have blended. And then I move into my 3rd color, which is the fired brick. And again, I'm doing the same thing. I'm just getting it onto the cardstock, and then I will go back and I will fill in that gap that you see there and blend those colors in. And you can see how nicely they are blending together, and those small circles really do help with that blending technique. And then last but certainly not least of the inks, I am bringing in that black soot, and because I'm left-handed, I just turn the paper around to make it easier for me to get that ink blending in. So I'm just finishing up getting that black soot on there, and then what I'll do is I will go back to my fired brick blending brush to blend the black soot and the fired brick together. And again, doing that with small circular motions. And that mat that I'm using is the stencil mat from Wallflower, and it's the 9x12 size, and I absolutely love it. My cardstock did not slip at all or move. I mean, even though I was holding it, but it wasn't even slipping under my hands. And I love that mat. So now I'm going to put the card front onto my stamping platform, and I'm going to use my Versamark to do the stamping of the flower. But before I do that, because I don't want any of the embossing powder remains where I don't want them, I put that powder on there, and I cover the entire piece, and then I'm going to take my floral stamp and I'm going to arrange it in the bottom left corner to start. And what I realized was the stamp was a good size, and because of where I laid my cardstock, I had a little bit of the stamp kind of off to the edge of my stamping platform, so I didn't get a full flat impression. So I did have to go back and ink up the stamp several times because there's a ledge on the left side where the top piece goes to that the stamp is adhered to, and part of the stamp was leaning on that ledge, so it wasn't making the stamp lay flat. And you can see I'm looking to see if I got the entire impression, and I was showing you there that I was still missing a little bit of it, so I go back a third time and I make sure I stamp that pretty well, and get my stamping tool and rub that in really, really good. And after the third time, I was able to get that part that was missing. So now I'm going to take my cardstock and I'm just going to flip it around, and I'm going to do the same thing to the other corner. So I just really want these flowers in opposite corners of each other. And again, I will be doing the same thing, inking up the stamp pretty well with the Versamark, and using my tool there to help get that stamp impressed onto the cardstock. And after the first time here, I was able to get the entire stamp on there the way I wanted to. So now I'm going to bring in my embossing powder, and I have my heat tool there on the side, and I'm just going to now layer the powder onto the areas that I was embossing. And then I take the spoon and I tap the side of the card just to help get off any of the excess powder. And then anything that is left there, you see I'm trying to use my fingers to remove it. And then I realized that, that's probably not a good idea. So that's when I brought in my small paintbrush, and I'm just trying to brush off any excess powder. And yeah, you can see me bringing the card up like towards the camera. I'm actually just trying to blow off any excess powder. And then if I did brush off any from the stamp, I just go ahead and I sprinkle some more embossing powder back on that you see me doing there. So after I get all the embossing powder on, I bring in my handy little tweezers with those cute little black hands holding the cardstock, and then I just heat emboss. And you can see that the embossing powder is melting nicely, and I really like how the white is picking up on those colors. I think it looks really pretty. And then I do that. I flip it around, and I do the same thing to the other side. And that is the finishing of the embossing. So now I'm going to bring back my stamping platform, and I'm going to stamp on the sentiment onto the card front before I adhere it to the card base. And one of the things I like about these oxides is they do dry relatively quick, probably about as quick as like the dye inks dry. They're pretty fast, unlike pigment inks where it does take a little bit longer. So I thought what I would do is for the black ink, I would use the black soot that I used for the ink blending on the card front. And I really wanted to keep the ink, you know, kind of the same. And that's what I did here. So you can see that I didn't quite get a full impression the first time. So I went ahead and I re-inked it and stamped it again. It just seemed like the word just was not stamping completely. So I did a second round and it came out just fine. So after I have the sentiment stamped onto the card front, I go ahead and I layer the card front onto my card base. And I did make this card front a full 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 size, so it will fit the entire front of a card base. And here you see the finished card and you know how it turned out. And I'm really happy with how the white embossing powder worked really well, layering it on top of all the ink blending. So I hope that this has inspired you to you know, give the color cubes a try. If you know that color combinations is something you struggle with, you may want to look into getting yourself a set of the color cubes. And until my next video, friends, I hope your day is a crafty day.